Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. First, Lexi Rodriguez made her professional volleyball debut today for the U.S. women's national team. Today, the U.S. faced off against Serbia for Week 2 of the Volleyball National League. And in a tight 5-set match, the U.S. powered through for the win 3-2. Lexi definitely did her part with a match high of 17 digs. Rodriguez and the rest of her team are set to play again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Central Time against Poland. The Husker wrestlers are coming off a powerful season and looking forward to next year. The Big Red will host 4 duels against non-Big Ten teams, including Oklahoma State and Northern Iowa. Nebraska has had their Big Ten opponent rotations set for next year, with dates and times yet to be determined. But for sure, the Huskers will host Iowa, Northwestern, Purdue, and Ohio State, and hit the road for Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, and Penn State. And finally, some men's College World Series scores. Earlier today, Coastal Carolina took on Louisville and Omaha, and right off the bat, the Chanticleers scored 6 runs in the bottom of the first and kept the momentum all the way until the end. Coastal Carolina gets the win and punches their tickets to the finals 11-3. Also, LSU and Arkansas will play tonight starting 5 minutes ago. And if LSU wins tonight, they will head to the finals. But if Arkansas powers through for the W, they will play a rematch tomorrow. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is the first hour of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
The siege and behind the screen, dances around, hezzy move, pump fake, out it comes to Jacobson, puts it up and in! Holy smokes! Way to go, Cale! Cale Jacobson from Ashland, Nebraska. Into the starting lineup 3 games ago. Hits a huge, humongous, gigundous 3.
Runs and deals. Ball swings and lets the fly ball to left. Cullivan going back to the wall, and it's good! Home run, Jordy Ball! A towering drive to left field by Jordy Ball, and that ties the school record for home runs in a season by a Husker. Allie Viola, you've got company. It's the best player in college softball with her 3rd home run of the weekend, Jordy Ball.
Bump set left. Almodovar's in the front row. She tips it. Doug. Huskers own it. Set left. Harper again. Over dig and out. Quinn Harper Murray in the Big Red. She's carried him. That's 18 kills for Harper. It's 25-24 Nebraska.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Hi there, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome in to Sports Nightly. We've got a full 2 hours headed your way tonight. Coming up, hour number 2, fun conversation coming up for you as we continue our Newcomer series. We're going to hear from Campbell Flynn, so stay tuned for that. But I get a whole lot of Nick and myself here in hour number 1, but we haven't really had a chance to talk much because I was on vacation, then you were out, and so we got some things we need to catch up on. So some things we want to dive into here over the next couple hours.
And we can see each other this time, too.
Yes, the camera is
yesterday.
Back up and running if you're watching on our YouTube stream. So it's not just me sitting there listening intently to what you're saying. I was a very good listener. I watched myself. I have good listening skills.
And that's got to be the most awkward thing, like listening, not rolling your eyes at certain things I was saying, especially when we were talking about golf yesterday, because who wants to hear anything about golf from me after how poor I performed in the U.S. Open? So
yeah, they were saying, you know, I'm not very humble, but I feel like you of all people should be let known that you're last and have been last twice now.
Yeah, I have to wear that. Absolutely. I would do the same thing to you if the role was reversed as well. So I think we know that when I do eventually win this thing in a few years, that I will also distribute that type of stuff too.
Well, it's been another busy day around here as camps continue. You want to talk about a grind, Nick. I mean, these guys have been going at it for almost 2 weeks now, and you're talking there's recruits on campus, and it's the last big weekend before the shutdown. They have been going hard and doing a great job. I was down there was a ton of, it was the younger boys camp earlier today. There's so many of them out there, and a lot of the players out there signing autographs, signing all the T-shirts, but I think from hearing from a little bit of the parents and then what we're hearing overall is the recruiting part of it, just they're putting on a heck of a camp season here this year.
I was talking to Damon about this when you were gone, about how important these summer workouts are for this team, but how there is that nice blend of whether it's fan engagement or the community involvement. I know Matt Rule, when I had a chance to see him on Sunday, he was talking about the guys going to local farmer market, just getting out there and being around the fans. So you're kind of chopping up a little bit of that very important work that this team is doing, and they're doing a lot of that behind the scenes because we don't have media coverage of that. So we're just going off of what we hear. David was talking about the guys going to Top Golf, but there's still that competition element. It's kind of in a similar sense how they do it in mat drills too. It always starts with competition, whether it's more the high-stakes stuff that we're seeing on a college football Saturday or the behind-the-scenes work. And then what I've really liked that Matt Rule has implemented since he's gotten here is it's not that, okay, from day 1 to day 35 or however many workouts you have during the offseason, that it's going to be nothing but just putting your nose down and busting your butt without any type of enjoyment of the work you're doing. And I think that the results that these guys are getting in the weight room that we have seen throughout the time Matt Rule has been here, but also that ability to take a break from what they're doing for at least a moment, have some kind of side competition that involves the coaches, that involves the staff members, or in this case, that you get a chance to be around the camps. You get a chance to be around kids, whether we're talking about little boys or little girls. When we had the 7-on-7 and the girls' camp last week, having that ability to take a break from the blazing heat and what you're trying to do to get ready for fall camp, to be able to enjoy your overall status as a student athlete and as a football player for the university. I think Matt Rule's done a really good job of blending those two worlds. So, as you just pointed out, Jessica, they're almost done with this. And so you understand that you get that final last break, that shutdown before you really get into it in fall camp, because before we know it, we're going to get through the 4th of July holiday, and all of a sudden we're going to start counting down the days to Big Ten Media Days. And we know as soon as you get back from Big Ten Media Days, fall camp is starting, and away we go, and we're counting down to that Thursday night against Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what Coach Rule said even on his opening day or his introductory press conference about the importance of camps, and not just the ones that are targeting the recruits, but also the ones they want to develop kids that fall in love with this program, and then eventually maybe one day when they are good enough to be recruited that they're remembering coming to camp here. And so just and giving back to the community, there's so many things, and they want to do a good job with it. And I think there's no doubt, just seeing the numbers, how many people have been through here over the last couple weeks, there's no doubt in my mind they're doing a good product or people wouldn't be coming back. But the guys on this current team also being involved, I think that's been really neat to see. And I've said this a few times, there's just such a great group of guys that are on this football team, and I think you can really get a sense for that with how they interact with kids in these types of situations, and their patience, and also they're willing to have fun. So I think that's cool too. It's just also allowing, Emmett Johnson is quickly becoming one of the most popular athletes here in Lincoln, over the last however 6 months or so that he's been here. And a lot of that is not just he's a good running back, but he does so much in the community, and he's at every camp, and he's interacting with the kids. He's out on social media. It's just, he's doing a good job, I think, of putting himself out there, because I think that's what people relate to the most, too. So now you're getting all these fans that are connected to these players, and that's an important part of it, too.
He's a great example of, I think, the players, when we talk about these types of changing times for student athletes in any sport, that it is also a world where fans, if you do it right, if you're a student athlete and you do it the right way and you take advantage of the new platforms that you do have, that people get to see you for who you are. They get to see a little bit more of that personality. And I think Emmett Johnson, and again, I'm sure when he first got to Nebraska, like any freshman or like anybody that is an underclassman, you get a little bit overwhelmed, especially if you're a little bit buried on the depth chart. But I feel like the platform that he has had now the last couple of years, he's one of those guys that I think embodies exactly what Matt Rule is looking for out of the players on and off the field, and that is a guy that is going to be a absolute butt kicker on the field. He's going to be one of your better players, and he's going to be one of your more important players, but that's not lost on him, and he understands that when he has a chance to be around younger people or he has a chance to be around fans, that he really does embrace that, and I think it's authentic. I go back to when we first learned of our dear friend Greg Sharp, when he was first made that heartfelt announcement on Sports Nightly right here and told all the fans about what he was going through. It was the very next player availability. Emmett Johnson was one of the first ones to say, before he started any of his remarks, or I think it was when he ended his press conference, before he left the podium, he made sure that he wished thoughts and prayers to Greg Sharp. And I think that got a lot of people's attention because we always knew Emmett Johnson was a very kind young man, but at the time a little bit more soft-spoken. Now I think you've seen him feel a little more empowered, and I mean that in such a good way, where he understands that his words, given how much the fan base really does attract themselves to all things football, that his words can go a long way. And I think there's a lot of athletes. I was always wondering, Jessica, how much this whole culture, that first year of Matt Rule, where we saw these football players at just about every sporting event, how long would that continue? Was this just that first year here, this is what I want to do, let's roll this out there, and then, after a while, you guys can do your own thing, you don't have to be as visible. Not only has it lasted, but you look at it even, I think, to the second or third power now, where you look at, I think you and I were joking about this during the spring. We asked the question, where isn't Dylan and Emmett Johnson? Yeah. I mean, they were just popping during a random batting practice before a game for Nebraska baseball. And then I don't know if they were at the game the entire way, but they would just pop into the ballpark because they were walking around. They just wanted to see what's going on. I just think that Matt Rule and that coaching staff have done a very good job of creating that general interest on the sports outside of what they're doing. And I think in return, it gives these guys a bit of an outlet where they can kind of escape from the pressures that they have of being one of the most visible people when it comes to this sport here in Nebraska, where they can sort of channel that to rooting on their peers. And I think they enjoy that. I think it's genuine because you can show up to an event here and there. Maybe you're getting paid to do so or not. But the fact that you see a lot of these high-profile players at all of these random events, and it's usually multiple events throughout the week, on top of spring practice or on top of summer workouts or winter conditioning, it's really impressive. And I think Emmett Johnson's one of those guys that he really kind of opened my eyes when he had those remarks about Greg. I just thought that was a very selfless and very mature thing to say when you're just being asked basic football questions. I thought that gave a lot of perspective, and I think since then we've really seen his overall personality come out, and I think he's really done a great job of utilizing that platform that he has. I think part of that, too, is just he's the guy, right? And growing into that and that confidence and what he was able to do, and I know I said this from the start when they hired Dana Holgorsen. Greg and I had this conversation, and just from my perspective, being across the sideline and teams that played Dana Holgorsen's offenses, he likes a running back that can catch the football, and Emmett is one of those very versatile running backs. So I knew immediately Emmett was going to be a guy that fit really well into what Dana Holgorsen wanted to implement with just his skill set. And then we saw that. I mean, he really got a lot. He bursted even more out onto the scene at the end of the season, and now with some of those guys gone, and it's
the freshmen that are coming in, and he's the guy. He is the guy this year. There's no bones about it, and so he knows that role that he's carrying. I just wanted to add to that about what you said in his press conference about, getting up there and wishing his thoughts and prayers to Greg and his family. I'll do you one more, and I would have never said this, but since you brought it up, he texted me, and right when he heard the news, saw the news that Greg had passed, and then he followed up a couple weeks later and asked how we were doing. So that's not even out there in front of a microphone where everybody would even know if I wouldn't be telling you right now, but that's the kind of guy he is. He didn't just say it because the microphone was on. He actually cared, and then followed up with the people that knew Greg, that he knew Greg.
And these are the people that I think as we get into 2025 season and all of the excitement and anticipation for what could happen from a win-loss standpoint, this is also the exciting development I think that Nebraska football has. I mean, I think Nebraska football in years past and previous coaching staffs have had some tremendous people, have had tremendous athletes representing it and great stewards of the program off the field. It was trying to find that blend of ones that were just as impactful off the field as they were on the field. And I think you're seeing multiple examples of that. And I think you're right. I think Emmett understands that he is in a position not only to be one of the faces of the success that Nebraska can have offensively, but also he can bestow that upon the younger group that he is going to be the alpha with, and that running back room. And it's such an important room, and that's a room that continues to get younger, but also the way that they recruit it, it's a very vital role, especially in this offense, as you pointed out, and what they want to see in this Dana Holgorsen offense. So he's taken on that leadership role, I think, within the program very well, but also the way that he's representing himself off the field, too. You're seeing that impact start to align. And I think that's exactly what Matt Rule wants to see out of a lot of his guys, especially the more recognizable players, that they want to see them be able to have that type of impact in such a positive way for the fans. But also, I think, as we're constantly reminded of now, those younger fans and those younger, prospective athletes that could have that type of impression and never forget about Nebraska. And as I mentioned just yesterday, how that can impact you if you're a junior or senior thinking about where you want to play, and you can possibly help Nebraska. You're going to remember those types of relationships or those first impressions, like guys at Emmett Johnson and Dylan Raiola and a lot of the other players that they're able to give to those younger guys.
I think another, maybe angle to this too, that not maybe as important, but in this day and age and where we're at with the revenue share, and then they are determining how they're going to divvy up the revenue and what you're worth and your NIL and all that kind of stuff. And when you're going to events, like, what does that calculate through? But there's a lot of guys like a Dylan Raiola that came in with a very high profile, right, that just continued to add to that. But then there's a guy like Emmett Johnson that wasn't highly recruited, that came in here and then was able to really grow his platform and his brand and create some opportunities as here at Nebraska with the following and the support of Husker Nation and what he's done on the football field, what he's done off of it. But hey, I think that's another selling point for recruits. In this day and age, you come here, you do things right, and kind of how along with our coaching, you can build yourself into a brand and a platform that will last beyond when you're playing with Nebraska and open up opportunities for you outside of football, and not just the ones that are coming in, the highly sought after and followed and all of that. Even the guys that maybe weren't as recruited, that you have an opportunity to really build yourself a platform and a brand while you're here in the uniform.
It's a great point, because this is the area now where I think a lot of that ability, that motivation for college football players. Let's go back to what I always think was one of the most common responses when people would ask you, why do you like college football more than the pros? And this is when I was a teenager. I remember that response always being, well, it just seems like the college players want it more. They want it. They want to put themselves in a position to where they are making that money, as opposed to the NFL players who are already making that money. And then as you get older and wiser, you realize, the pros, they want it just as bad. You don't just lose that competitiveness, and they want, hey, if they're making X amount of dollars, they could always be making more. So there's always that motivation factor. But now you look at 2025, where we are in college football, what you just mentioned, building a brand. I think there was always maybe that that feeling of if you weren't being developed early on, that time was passing you by, and that window that maybe you had a chance to be a professional football player, or at least having that type of path to do that for a living, maybe was closing and you just didn't have that ability. Now, when you look at the way the game is, that if you are doing right by your team and you are listening to your position coach, you are doing all the things your strength and conditioning coach is telling you, you're doing everything your nutritionist is telling you, and you are following those steps, and all of a sudden you are starting to see those gains both on the field and just physically when you look at yourself, that you're not only becoming a better player, but you're physically more imposing, and you can see that type of improvement right there. That it's not something, okay, now I gotta earn this on the field for the next 2 or 3 years, and then the NFL door will open for me, and then possibly that payday. Now it's, if I can crack the 2 deep, and if I can have just one big game, and I can show my worth on how big I'm going to be on a Saturday, all of a sudden I have the ability to make that type of money now. And I'm not talking about, the $5 million signing bonuses or anything of that nature, but you have a chance to make very comfortable money by just improving and putting yourself in a position that you can help the current team you're with. Not, oh, well, if I continue to get better with the current team I'm at, eventually I'll get to the NFL. No, if you help the current team you're with right now, you can get paid right now. And those NIL opportunities are right there for you too. So that motivation factor, I think, is even greater for these players. And then you look at that brand. Okay, so how do I maximize what I'm doing on the field to what I can potentially earn off the field because of what I'm doing and how I carry myself? And I just think there's a stronger demand and more of a sense of urgency to do things the right way, because let's face it, whether it's because it's just the right thing to do or because it's very lucrative for you to do so, either way, doing the right thing can really build a very lucrative brand. And I think that's great for all of these players, and I hope they continue to remind themselves everybody's always watching, but that can be a good thing now.
Okay, so one last thing on this, then we got to get to a break. But again, I went down there, and there's all the kids trying to get the autographs, and you're talking like Elijah Judy, Malcolm Hartzog, Jacory Barney was down there. There were a number, Emmett Johnson as mentioned. But so it kind of got me thinking, and outside of Dylan Raiola, because I know that will be the obvious, but if you were going to a camp or had a son going to a camp, which Husker would you most like to be in their group being coached by?
Ooh, you know what? Just based on the very limited interaction I've had with him, but what I've heard the coaches say about him from day one, I think Jacory Barney.
Yeah.
Because there's that natural, they always talk about that love to just play football. And so I think when you have that type of love for the game and you have that kid-like approach to it, I think when it comes to these types of environments, that's who you want your kids to be around, because it's infectious and they are having so much fun that they are going to bring themselves down to your level to where your kids are going to have that much more fun. I don't know about some of the other dads and moms out there, but there's usually sort of an ice-breaking stage when it comes to my son. He's very shy at first, but then once somebody comes down to his level, oh my gosh, he opens up and he's having the best time. I see Jacory Barney being that type of guy that he would know how to break that ice for some of the most young players and get them excited about it. And all of a sudden, before they know it, they're just having the time of their life.
And I'll tell you what, he's the #1 hype man, too. I mean, he is the biggest cheerleader. And if you go to a practice, and we've heard this talked about, and I even talked to Jacory about it last year, and then when I went out to spring practice, I saw that he's still doing it. But when he's off, when they run the special teams units out there and they're doing field goal, working through all the different kind of progressions there, and you're backing it up. I mean, he is out there hyping up the kickers, and he is. So you want to talk about someone that will make you feel like you can conquer the world? I think Jacory Barney is, and he does it in a genuine way. But a couple of the specialists even talked about that, how important that was for them to have Jacory just out there, even when there were times that things weren't going well. That Jacory was their #1 supporter, no matter what.
Isn't that crazy, too? The kid is only going into his sophomore year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about behavior that you would typically see from a team captain, from a junior or a senior, a guy that's been playing college football for a very long time. He's only going into his 2nd year of that, so that's pretty awesome.
All right, so that you stole mine. I didn't know if you were going to go there, but that was a good pick. All right, let's get to a break here on Sports Nightly. Plenty more to come. Lots to dive into here tonight. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
At Woodhouse Honda, we know purchasing a car is a big decision, and we're here to make it simple. Take advantage of special financing and exclusive offers happening now. Lease the 2025 Honda HR-V AWD LX for $299 a month for 36 months and 10,000 miles per year. Shop in-store off Highway 281 in Grand Island or online at woodhousehonda.com. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra, security deposit waived, $2,499 due at signing, $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 6/30/2025. See dealer for details.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Nick Hanley. I'm Jessica Coody. Nick, we had this text on the text line the other night when Damon was on from Mike, one of the guys that's a regular in the chat, but he texts in sometimes too. But wanted to know, with Greg McElroy coming out and projecting that Nebraska would have a top 10 defense, but he wanted to know Damon's thoughts. Well, I want to know your thoughts, because I didn't get a chance to ask Damon that, but I kind of talked about it. I think I know what Damon's thought process is there, but what are your thoughts on that? I think Damon had texted me in that he thinks it's a unit capable of about 19 points per game, which is top 20. Last year it was around that and was, I think, 18. So they've been in the top 20, and so if they maintain that, they'll be in the top 20, but I'm wondering if maybe they can crack into that top 10 this year.
I think that would be fantastic. You would take that. Obviously, I think anytime you do have a leadership change, even though it was a guy that was a part of this defensive staff a year ago, and John Butler, and a guy that has defensive coordinator experience at both levels, I don't expect a major drop-off. I think this is as seamless of a transition as you could ask for, but I do think it's okay to expect a little bit of those hiccups along the way. I think for the way Tony White would just manage a room, I think the personalities between Tony White and John Butler are going to be a little bit different. Now, does that mean all of a sudden there's a major drop-off in certain areas compared to others? No, I wouldn't say that. But I think just the overall environment of the defensive room can be a little bit different than it was a year ago. Again, not saying that it's worse, but different. And so some of your veterans do have to adjust to that, especially when we get into the fall, especially when we're in fall camp. Because in spring, and it was good that John Butler was part of that spring for not only the newcomers, but especially for the veterans too, that are getting used to just a new leader, a new voice that's going to be accountable for the collective bunch. Again, those things, I think, although they can be very little, sometimes can create, in the heat of the moment, especially early on, a little bit of inconsistencies. So to expect the top 10, I think, is still probably going a little bit majorly glass half full, which what I do think, and even Damon and I were talking about this, that secondary, when everything is sorted out, the amount of depth and, I think, combinations and options that Nebraska can run out there, I think is going to be huge. And I think you have this hungry group of underclassmen that are looking not only to have their opportunities, but to make the most out of their opportunities. And what is John Butler? What is his forte? The secondary. So I think that group, I'm extremely excited to see what happens. Now, and that's not to say that the defensive line is a group that I'm down on, but I mean, you think about what you replaced is huge, especially with a guy like Ty and Nash. But when you look at the excitement that I know I have, and I believe you've talked about this many times and share that enthusiasm with a guy like Riley Van Poppel and Cam Lenhart, and seeing what those guys can do, because we all got a glimpse of that in their freshman year and a little bit from Cam Lenhart even last year, that Riley Van Poppel in that development year, I think that could be an absolute just home run for what he turns out to be in this year. But again, you have a standard of what he's replacing. Is Riley Van Poppel going to be that guy right out of the gate? That's a tough ask. Can Riley Van Poppel be that guy when all is said and done this season? 100%. And I almost expect him to be that guy. But you see where I'm getting at? I think there's a lot of, when this group is all a finished product, it could have a look of a team that represents a top 10 type of defense, but will they be that way the entire year? My hesitation is early in the year, and I think Damon's close. I think, a 19-point type of defense, 19 points per game, I think that is, I think it's pretty reasonable. And I think that's a good expectation. I think that's a great jumping off part, given what Nebraska's replacing in the front seven. I think when you look at the back end of this season, though, if the second half of the season this team is playing in the top 15 in a lot of defensive categories, then I think that's more than what you should expect. And I think that's more than enough for this team to take that next step collectively when it comes to the win department.
Listen, I think it's safe to say there's more talent, right? They're younger, and you have less experience. And so I said this the other night about the defensive line. I think they've got some guys, and maybe not as big, but I think they're very, very talented. I am curious to see about the depth that they can build, because I think we saw that be kind of a critical part to allowing Nash and Tide do what they did all season last year, was that they didn't have to play every snap. And so if they can develop, again, the depth where they can run guys in and out, throw different looks at people, and guys are not playing every single snap, every single game, that is very important. But I think they have the pieces. It's just like you said with the new coordinator, and even though a lot of it's going to be the same, I think they really like what they're doing, and they're playing fast, and there's a lot of great concepts. From what my conversations that I have from the defensive guys, they seem very, very excited about what John Butler wants to do with this defense, and how free it allows them to go make plays and all of that. I think they're going to be really fast. I think there's a lot of those things, characteristics of defenses that are in the top of the nation. I hesitate saying, right now that's a top 10 defense, just because there is still some unknown. But I think it's more talented. It's just a matter how does it all come together. And like you said, it could be a unit that continues to grow throughout the year.
Well, and think of, if we're just looking at the front seven, because the most experience on this defense is in the back end, and we know that. But in the front seven, if you're looking at your most experience, and a guy that is more than capable of being a game wrecker is Elijah Judy, okay, for a guy that's a senior. But everyone else, even though Cam Lenhart is going into his junior year, the amount of reps, would you say he's had a junior level of reps as far as in-game reps? So, and Riley Van Poppel going into now his sophomore year, because that was a redshirt last year. Then you think about, okay, let's go to the second level of this thing. And a guy like Vincent Shavers and even Willis McGahee, those guys, I think, excite every Husker fan. And we've seen them in spots in their freshman year looking the part. But again, it's going to be a lot more of the game reps. So what do they look like when there is more film on these guys, and how you try to attack those guys, and what are their tendencies? So that's where it's you see the talent there. You see how this defensive staff, even with the new faces, want to use this personnel. But now that these guys are going to be on the field a lot more than they have been the last couple of years or last year, that also provides a little bit more opportunity to game plan against them. So how do they bounce? How do they counter that? Those are all the questions we just don't know yet. That's why it's hard for me to say this can be a top 10 defense, because I think there's pieces there. But yeah, as you mentioned, the collective group, especially in that front seven, is still pretty young when it comes to game reps.
I think the luxury, though, of both with Dana Holgorsen and John Butler, and this has been something that we've talked about too, it's not like a brand new person coming in. At least, John Butler was here. He got a feel for not just the guys in the secondary that he coached last year, but he got to know the entire defense. So he knows the personnel, and he knows the pieces that he's working with, whereas somebody completely new coming in, and you're working with maybe guys that fit your system, maybe that they don't, and you're learning names and all of that. But John Butler knew that. And then with Dana Holgorsen, he was there at the end of the year. So it's not like a typical changing of the guard with the offensive and defensive coordinator that you normally get in college football.
Right, and the other part about it is, there is a little bit of that continuity with a shakeup, with a coaching shakeup, because, you think about, okay, John Butler, is he now just going to take a complete step back from the position group as the defensive back coach and just pay no attention to it? No, because that's still going to be his bread and butter. So, and that's the same thing that I think of Dakeil Shorts being able to come in as the wide receivers coach, but also having that relationship with Dana Holgorsen. So they're going to be working in concert. I think you look at those relationships that do exist right now, and you look at even an Addison Williams working with John Butler. Those two are going to be working hand in hand. Even though John Butler's going to be calling the defensive shots, he's still going to have a vested interest in that defensive back group, because he coached a lot of those guys a year ago too. So he'll be able to add that type of experience a year ago onto Addison Williams on what he can expect from some of those upperclassmen. And make no mistake about it, some of those upperclassmen are going to take matters into their own hands as well when it comes to making sure that entire group is at the level that they need to be.
Hey, Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee, where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Got to get to a break. More of the show coming up after this.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. It's just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm broadcasting Major Connor Clark with Campus News. UNL's Center for Transformative Teaching works with educators across all majors on new teaching strategies for a new generation of students. The Center for Transformative Teaching helps instructors grapple with AI in the classroom, use data modeling to enhance student learning, earn grants for exploring new teaching methods, and provides crucial insights that power academic success.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Who are you?
I'm the truck fairy.
You mean the tooth fairy?
No, truck fairy. I appear when someone dreams about winning one of the 8 new trucks in the Nebraska Lottery's Trucks and Bucks scratch game.
Oh, so you leave Trucks and Bucks tickets under my pillow?
No.
Cash?
Sorry.
What exactly do you do?
Remind people to play today.
Don't think I need a truck fairy for that.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Play Trucks and Bucks from your Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody with Nick Hanley. Kind of running out of time here, so want to save. I know that there's been discussions. We talked last night about maybe some changes to college football and the maybe a summer signing day. The transfer portal maybe going down to 1. When does it happen? And then also just shifting spring practices and having some practice in the summer. There's also been some talk, I don't think people can agree, surprise, surprise, on the college football playoff format and what teams can get in, but I don't think we have time to dive into that here, so we will save that here for hour number 2. But were you on social media last night? Did you get drawn into, or was your social media blowing up about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark?
Yes, it was. And I'm mixed on that one because, okay, I know they slowed it down many, many times. Let me preface what I'm about to say by I 1,000% appreciate the Caitlin Clark effect, the impact that it has not only had on the sport of women's basketball, but in women's sports in general. Was she poked in the face, or was that a LeBron? Was that a LeBron flop? I did not see the poke in the eye.
It was even just beyond the poke in the eye, though. They were, there's some shoving going on.
Oh, yeah. Now, when she got shoved down, that was, I thought, with the 3 ejections that took place, and I'm forgetting the player's name that had that last-second shove. It was much bigger than Caitlin Clark, by the way.
Oh,
she was
Sophie Cunningham?
She wasn't ejected. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Cunningham. It was one of the post players that she came in and she had shoved her down. That's when Caitlin Clark hit the deck. And now how that was not ruled an ejection was beyond me. Even though you had the skirmish that followed, back in the fourth quarter, where you have the intentional foul, which was clearly intentional, and you knew that was going to lead. I actually didn't mind it because I thought it was, hey, they're sticking up for their teammate there. And it's, sometimes you want the emotions to happen a little bit. But I was just confused on why certain people got ejected compared to others.
Well, Stephanie White, the head coach for the Fever, had a press conference where she challenged the referees and the officiating, and that was a lot of what I was seeing too. They let it get out of hand. How many times do we say that about sports? You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You've got to establish some boundaries from the start. And so then when you let it get out of hand, it is hard to get control of, and that's exactly what happened. And I know they're playing to advance in the Commissioner's Cup, which and there's some history there with Caitlin and J.C. Sheldon, who played for Ohio State, and they battled it out. So there's a lot of layers to it, but the officiating could have helped out the overall how it ended up going from the start. And she had said, she goes, this game continues to grow. The fan base continues to grow. The viewership, everything is getting better except for the officiating. They've got to keep getting better, too. I thought, it's true, though. It's not just this game, too. And it's not just the Fever head coach, which people want to say if you're a Caitlin Clark hater. There's other prominent people within the WNBA that talk about when you want to continue to grow this league, the officiating is a big part. They've got to improve there, too.
It was Marina Mabry is who I'm thinking of, who got the technical foul, but she wasn't ejected. And that goes back to your point about the inconsistency when it does come to the officiating. And I wholeheartedly agree, because you now have these young players coming in. Caitlin Clark is the first. Paige Beckers is getting the same type of treatment, where there's a lot of the veterans out there that want to give you that welcome to the show moment. And so they're going to bump you more. They're going to try to intimidate you. They're going to try to be forceful with you. And at times, if you show back up to them, it ticks them off. And so they want to come back at you. I think Marina Mabry, to me, that was completely uncalled for, because as they're trying to separate everybody, she came in. That was a blatant cheap shot. Whether Caitlin Clark really got nicked in the eye or not, I never saw it. I just saw her reaction and holding her eye. The Mabry thing was completely uncalled for. Yeah, she got a technical foul, but compared to the ejections that took place later, I thought Mabry was very much a big part of that first incident that could have been avoided. So it's being able to understand the way that the rookies and even the younger players, Caitlin Clark, still getting this type of attention where she is getting a lot of the cheap shots towards her. And you got to understand that there's a way that you have to govern this. There's a way that you have to regulate that, because the last thing you want to see, and thank goodness we did not have this happen yesterday, the last thing you want to see with so many more eyeballs on the WNBA than we've ever seen is a Malice in the Palace type of episode. And that thing could have gotten that way if, thank goodness, cooler heads prevailed. But you don't want where the officiating is so lax that all of a sudden players think, hey, you know what, I can get away with this. Okay, technical foul's worth it, but they're not ejecting anybody, so I'm going to really give this rookie or Caitlin Clark or whoever, Angel Reese, I'm going to really give them the business, and I'm going to go to town on them. All of a sudden, that creates even more frustration where a teammate's trying to defend her teammate, and before you know it, you've got fists being thrown at each other, and then the fans get involved, and that's where you've got a major problem.
I know there's a lot of people around here that are not fans of Caitlin Clark. I know there's maybe some people that are talking, why are you talking about the WNBA? But I think we got at least one player right now in Lincoln that has a potential to maybe play in the WNBA eventually, and her name's Britt Prince. And so you want to see the continued growth of the league and the best opportunities available for, when the Huskers get there. And because there's going to be a lot of people that start paying attention when Nebraska has a player that's contributing at that level too. All right, got to get to a break. We're back to wrap up hour number 1 next.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Welcome back. Final segment here of hour number 1 of Sports Nightly. Just got about a minute left. We went a little long. Didn't expect to talk so much about the WNBA, but I appreciate that you were all in on it, that you knew what was going on. But I don't know how you could miss it last night. It was all over social media.
I love a good fracas. Whether it's we're talking WNBA, we're talking NFL, we're talking tennis. I mean, if there's a good fracas, I'm paying attention, and I want to see who the guilty parties are. And I always usually have an opinion or two about those. If the Fever had a clear number 1, if there is, Caitlin Clark is by far the number 1 fan favorite. Sophie Cunningham just became the Fever fan base second favorite player by how she went after to try to protect Caitlin. I liked it. That was just being a good teammate. I liked it a lot. And, again, as long as those things they don't swell into anything that gets really out of hand, like I said in the previous segment, where it starts involving the fans and the fans get involved like that, and then all of a sudden they're doing bad things too. If you can do that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's a toughness that I think pretty much every viewer is going to appreciate. Yeah, absolutely. My brother is a huge Sophie Cunningham fan, so he has sent me all the clips and has been a fan of hers going back when she played with Diana Taurasi. But she was kind of what Caitlin needed, I think, with the Fever. But so good stuff there. We got to wrap up hour number 1, but a full another hour coming up here on Sports Nightly, including a conversation with the freshman center, Campbell Flynn. Keep it here. We're back right after this.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza
pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. First, Lexi Rodriguez made her professional volleyball debut today for the U.S. women's national team. Today, the U.S. faced off against Serbia for Week 2 of the Volleyball National League, and in a tight 5-set match, the U.S. powered through for the win 3-2. And Lexi definitely did her part with a match high of 17 digs. Rodriguez and the rest of her team are set to play again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Central Time against Poland. The Husker wrestlers are coming off a powerful season and looking forward to next year. The Big Red will host 4 duels against non-Big Ten teams, including Oklahoma State and Northern Iowa. Nebraska has also had their Big Ten opponent rotation set for next year, with dates and times yet to be determined. But for sure, though, the Huskers will host Iowa, Northwestern, Purdue, and Ohio State, and hit the road for Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, and Penn State. And finally, some men's College World Series scores. Earlier today, Coastal Carolina took on Louisville in Omaha, and right off the bat, the Chanticleers scored 6 runs in the bottom of the first and kept the momentum all the way until the end. Coastal Carolina got the win and punched their ticket to the finals to 11-3. And also, LSU and Arkansas have been playing since 6 o'clock, and it is the bottom of the third with 2 outs. LSU trying to get points on the board, but it is all 0-0 still. And if LSU wins tonight, they will be heading to the finals. But if Arkansas clutches up and gets that W, there will be a rematch tomorrow. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is Hour 2 of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Creighton's got it. Center dump. Kendra, wait, no. Nebraska bumps it again. Harper for the match. Off the ticket out. Call the grandkids. They did it. 15-10. Set 5. Nebraska keeps beating Creighton. 23-0 all time. That was a volleyball match.
Gets the snap, back to throw, steps, throws, intercepted, picked off Malcolm Hartzog at the Nebraska 43-yard line. It's his 4th career INT.
Horn has the sign. He comes set, and the 3-2 pitch. Popped up, playable, shallow left. Carey makes the call, backing up, and he makes the catch on his 118th pitch. Ty Horn has 8 shutout here in the championship.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Sports Nightly with Nick Hanley. I'm Jessica Coody. I feel like just yesterday the College World Series started, and now here we are getting closer to knowing who's going to be playing for a national title. I know Arkansas LSU in action now. Are you still with LSU in this and winning it?
Yeah, I said it earlier. Whoever won that very first matchup between LSU and Arkansas, I was going to roll with them, knowing that they would be in the driver's seat. And I admit, the way Arkansas was playing coming into the College World Series, I thought Arkansas would get them that Saturday night. But LSU, something about Omaha, it's like their second home. And so I still think that they're the team to beat without question. But I was a little disappointed, too. I thought Oregon State would have a better showing, but after they got eliminated yesterday by Louisville, that was a little bit of a surprise to me. So right now, though, seeing Coastal doing what they've been doing, just absolutely taking it to. I mean, they have a 6-run first inning earlier today, too. So I think we're setting up for a potential LSU Coastal Carolina showdown, which could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know me, I was sad I couldn't carry the Big Ten banner anymore after UCLA got eliminated.
I know.
B1G. What is Coastal Carolina's conference? What conference are they in?
I believe they're the Sun Belt, are they not?
Sunbelt.
Yeah,
start the Sunbelt chants now, I guess.
That would be we said the Big Ten one would be awkward. Boy, the Sun Belt would be very, very awkward for sure. Yeah. By the way, did you see Mardi Gras Mike, the big tiger, the big it's more of a statue that LSU decided to bring to town this year. I mean, the amount of times that LSU has been to Omaha this year, they're able to bring the huge it's bigger than a full-size tiger. If there was a tiger ever this big, I would be very, very scared. But to see Mardi Gras Mike, it's their newest edition, LSU's newest edition of bringing something fun for everybody to take a look at in Omaha. They like the aha factor. They're about the big things. They know that Omaha is always paying attention to them, so they like to. It's that whole "are you not entertained" type feel. They're showmen. They're very much showmen.
Hopefully, they are driving back that long drive with that tiger with a loss, not winning. I'm very much against any SEC team, obviously, if you haven't noticed
I understand.
yet. Okay, well, I did want to ask you about this. So, again, Ross Dillinger does such a great job covering all the different meetings and everything that's going on. There's so many different names. This has been something we've been talking about for so long, that with the NCAA basically not having anything to do with college football anymore, and the powers that be, and the power struggle between the different conferences and the ADs and the presidents, and there's just so many different interests and no one to really hone it all in. And so you have some disagreement. Surprise, surprise. But, there's several things being talked about here this week, and we talked about a few of them last night, just the change of the schedule. But the college football playoff expansion, which is happening, but now it's about the format, and there's some arguing going on what that looks like. And so do you have, what would be your ideal, I guess, breakdown of what potential teams can make it?
So I know there's the 5+11 format that seems like that's going to be probably the one that makes it across the finish line, because as much as the other format that the Big Ten is about, where you have the 4-4, I got to do math here, 4-4.
1-1-1, no.
1-1-1-1-1, yeah,
or something like that. It was like 2-1-1, yeah.
It's where the SEC and the Big Ten would be guaranteed 4.
Yeah.
And, I think about that, and obviously if you're a member of the Big Ten and you are able to get at least 4, and then potentially more, because then it's just at-larges after that, you're guaranteed 4 in, where with the 5+11, you're not necessarily guaranteed, although I think most years the Big Ten at the very least, very minimum, is going to have 3 in. I think that it just, you at least right now, if you're going to expand this thing to 16, you got to make it feel all-encompassing, and that including the ACC and the Big 12. I understand, in every conference commissioner, this is where I was a little surprised that Greg Sankey backed away from it a little bit at the end of their athletic director meetings a couple weeks ago, where this obviously would benefit the SEC, but Greg Sankey seems to maybe be playing the long game here, where I like my partnership with the Big Ten, but I'm going to try to maybe play the neutral game right now, where, and I don't know what his whole idea behind that is, because I think deep down inside, Greg Sankey would also want to have the 4 automatic bids out of the SEC as well. But I think the only reason he's right now backing off of that is because the SEC coaches are still saying, we don't want to play 9 conference games. We still like having that powder puff game in November where we're playing,
William and Mary.
Northern Tech of Alliance, So this is where I think Greg Sankey and the athletic directors in the SEC are actually listening to their coaches. And why not? I mean, think about some of the most powerful coaches right now in college football. There's a handful of them, including Kirby Smart, that reside in the SEC. So I think their words and their opinions do carry a lot of weight right now. So I think that's the only reason Greg Sankey backed off of it a little bit. That's why I think the 5+11 format is going to happen. And then eventually, as the SEC and the Big Ten, because the SEC, let's face it, at some point they're going to have to play 9. You have to. If you want to have the same type of equity that the Big Ten has when it comes to this college football playoff, I think I think the committee is also going to look at that and say, well, we value the Big Ten as one of the best conferences, and they're playing one more conference game. So I think that's going to show up a lot more when it does come to teams that are maybe 9-3 teams, 8-4 teams that are tied with each other. You're probably looking at, okay, what was that extra game that they played in the conference? Who was that against? What did it look like compared to that SEC team? Whether it's their 8th win or their 4th loss. You're looking at both of those things. This is where I think having that extra conference game is actually going to behoove you. So the SEC, I think, will get there. But I don't think it's as quickly as the Big Ten and everybody else, college football fans would like to see. But because, again, we're seeing other conferences, not just the SEC, not just the Big Ten, but other conferences are obviously in 9-game schedules as well when it comes to their conference play. So the SEC, in order for them to basically get to that 9 games, which they will, that's when I think you'll probably see a proposal where the Big Ten and the SEC kind of co-present it, and then we'll see how much power they have and if they're able to push that one across. Now, as far as what I think is best for college football right now, I think the popularity, even with the payments going on, the revenue share going on, I don't want to say the word popular because that makes it sound like everybody, old school fan and new school fan alike, love everything about the sport. But it is the most intriguing that it has ever been. College football is at its peak when it comes to interesting times. And the play on the field is pretty damn good because you're seeing players staying in school longer. Maybe not with the same team, but staying in school longer because there's a reason. There's financial reasons to stick around now as opposed to that first year of eligible for the draft to jet and take your chances there. So the play itself is better. What we continue to see now with the changing of rosters, and I think you're going to see more freshmen involved, as, of course, obviously we saw last year with Nebraska. I think it's made it so much more interesting than it has been, and I think college football has always been very interesting. So the popularity, I think, is still very much there because I think as much as we gripe about the offseason and all of the conference realignment and the NIL and the confusion with revenue share and all of that, when we get to Saturdays, the numbers don't lie. This game is extremely popular when it comes to the viewership, and I think it's more interesting than it's ever been. So the 5+11 format, the 5 highest ranked conference champions, then the 11 at large, pretty much what we saw last year with the 12, just add more at large, I think is going to be the best way right now because I think that seems like it is the most fair proposal right now and the fair way to get your 16 teams in, and then as we move forward, when there'll be tweaking. I don't know if there'll be expansion beyond 16. I think 16 is a good number, but I think you could see them change the way that they want to do that. But for the time being, I think the 5+11 format, because of the amount of interest you have in the sport right now, seems to be the most fair. And I think that usually plays out very well with the collective college football audience.
Yeah, and, with the seeding, with them tweaking the seeding now, and so teams that just because they're a conference champion, that's not the best team, they didn't deserve a higher seed. They changed that, so that fixed that. But I just think in this day and age we'll see how it all unfolds again as teams do this rev share and who wins at it, who loses at it. But it just has the potential to change very quickly. So I'd hate to lock into, okay, this is what it is, when there could be some surprises or some changes. There might be a year where one of the conferences doesn't deserve 4 teams in, but then you're losing a spot for a team that didn't deserve to be there just because that was how the format was. So I like the fluidity of it. Just, hey, you got your conference champions, and then the rest are at large, so the most deserving hopefully get in. And if you're in the Big Ten and the SEC and you take care of business, you're going to get a favorable positioning to be able to be one of those teams in that at-large space.
And, Jessica, I understand why Tony Petitti was fully endorsing having the 4 at-large for the Big Ten because you're doing your job as a conference commissioner, but I think he also understands if there's a 5-year span or a 5-year sample size, is it crazy to think that 3 out of those 5 years, at least 3 out of those 5 years, the Big Ten's still going to get 4 in?
Yeah.
Because I think they will. I mean, it might even be 4 out of 5. I think it's going to be more the minority when they don't get at least 4 teams in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you necessarily need that guarantee if you're any of the conferences, let alone the Big Ten. But I understand Tony Petitti is then putting themselves in a position where every year we're guaranteed that. So I get that. But I think in the real world, the Big Ten, more years than not, are still going to get at least 4 in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. If you take care of business, you're going to, just because of what the Big Ten has done and how they've established themselves, the Big Ten and the SEC, you're going to, more times than not, get in over other teams. So I think if you just take care of business, the rest will take care of itself. Okay, so another thing that's kind of unfolded here over this week is just, we saw the cancellation. Louisiana Monroe canceled their women's tennis program. Washington State they're no longer track and field, they're just track. And there's been some reports that there's been 32 Olympic sports that have been cut since the settlement has been approved just here over this last month. And I think, that was one of the things I think people were worried about, is when you have to start saving money. And it's sad. It's sad, but I think it was something that probably people expected were going to happen. I'm glad that it hasn't affected Nebraska and really very many teams in the Big Ten, but who knows? This could be just the tip of the iceberg on that front.
Yeah, and I remember it wasn't that long ago, and this was more of a COVID casualty, but remember when Stanford in 2020, they announced that they were going to discontinue 11 of their varsity sports. A lot of the Olympic sports that were casualties of that because of the financial constraints and just the impact of the pandemic. Now, the good news was they were able to refund a lot of those and bring, I don't think they brought them all back, but they brought quite a few of them back. This is going to be, unfortunately, and if we remember going back to something that the former athletic director Trev Alberts had mentioned and talking about the changing landscape of college athletics with revenue share being imminent. And he said that we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think this is one of those things that people need to be, I don't want to say you have to be comfortable with it, but this is going to be that awkwardness. This is going to be that discomfort that comes with college athletics, where you want every young boy or girl that is good in a sport, that has a chance to maybe have some of their education paid for because they excel in that sport in high school. And maybe have dreams of being an Olympian someday and are that good, that there are going to be maybe lesser options. And that is just the reality of this. This is where, when you talk about revenue share, and this is the good and the bad, where players are now getting money from these huge television contracts. I mean, that's what's stemming all of this. And these athletic departments and these universities that are making a lot of money from these athletic programs in the revenue-generating sports. Unfortunately, those revenue-generating sports are the ones that are going to demand the most attention when it comes to paying their student athletes. And unfortunately, those types of funds, year in and year out, can't, depending on what your financial situation is as a school, as a university, and an athletic department, you're going to have to maybe minimize it and narrow it down to, okay, we can only fund X amount if we want to have the competitive scholarships, if we want to have competitive teams on the field and be able to offer at least a similar amount of scholarships as some of our competitors, then we have to make, unfortunately, these types of decisions. I don't envy any athletic director in this situation. And this is where you just hope, and as you mentioned, Nebraska, which has been really in front of a lot of the changing landscape, especially when it comes to the financial part of this with the student athletes, that you hope being in front of it, having that foresight and being proactive and not reactive is going to keep them in good standing and be able to hold on to all of those sports, as opposed to some of the schools, unfortunately, that were maybe more reactive or a little bit late in being able to respond to this change.
And you know, with Nebraska being able to not taking money from the university side of things and actually generating the revenue is a big part of that too. And that's why you're seeing,
huge.
That's why you're seeing, you know, Troy be so strategic about, you know, making sure that they are honing in on all those revenue generating capabilities here at Nebraska, so that they can continue to fund multiple sports at a very high level too. All right, we're going to let you get out of here. Breaking news, with tomorrow, we have some things that we had to shuffle around. So the joke of the week, we're going to actually do tonight. So we're going to hear from Campbell Flynn coming up here in the next segment. And then David, he told me last week, Nick, that it was the most nerve-wracking thing he's ever done. The most stressful thing he's done here at the Huskers Radio Network was figure out a joke of the week last week.
There's so many different outlets. And just make it a good. I could see Swotek having a really good dad joke. So just a good dad joke, he's going to be fine.
So David will, once again, he's back-to-back weeks. We'll see if he can, build off of the momentum he gained last week in his opening appearance for Joke of the Week. So that will be coming up here in just a few minutes. But coming up on the other side of this, again, the freshman setter, Campbell Flynn, as a part of our Newcomer series. Nick, we'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night.
Hey, Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
Who are you?
I'm the truck fairy.
You mean the tooth fairy?
No, truck fairy. I appear when someone dreams about winning one of the 8 new trucks in the Nebraska Lottery's Trucks and Bucks scratch game.
Oh, so you leave Trucks and Bucks tickets under my pillow?
No.
Cash?
Sorry.
What exactly do you do?
Remind people to play today.
don't think I need a truck fairy for that.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Play Trucks and Bucks from your Nebraska lottery. Top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and it is time to continue our Newcomer series as we get to know the new faces and additions to Nebraska volleyball, women's basketball, men's basketball. We do it every summer, and so tonight our very first volleyball guest, and while she will be new to the roster this year, she hasn't been new because she got here back in January, and so is a part of the beach season and then the spring season, and has already got a lot of hype surrounding her. The freshman setter Campbell Flynn out of Michigan was the Gatorade National Player of the Year, two-time Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year. And again, this series brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Here is part of my conversation with Campbell Flynn. You're a new face to the roster going into this season, but you haven't been new to Lincoln because you got here back in January, got to go through the beach season, right? How you settling in? How you liking Lincoln? Was it everything you thought it would be?
Yeah, I've had the best time here. I'm settling pretty good. I'm really glad that I went early so I could build connections a little bit, and so now it's a little easier, especially going this season. I feel like I kind of have control with like classes, and I'm just not like crazy new. I'm still new, but I know kind of the rope around everything, so yeah.
It's like you're a sophomore already because you already know the whole going to class thing is in the rearview mirror. Well, let's go back to your recruiting journey and just, when you're going through it and you're one of the top recruits in the nation. I know Nebraska is one of those programs that a lot of people, point to and want to play for, but when did you realize that was going to be a good place for you to play?
I always loved Nebraska from an early age. I loved watching them, and I also Nebraska's just Nebraska. It's the crazy fans, and just the atmosphere is crazy. I always wanted to play there. It was one of my dream schools, so ever since I was around 8th grade, I was set that I wanted to either go there or somewhere like Nebraska.
Do you remember that first team and just what you liked from watching that team play?
Oh my gosh. I was little, so I don't even remember, but I just remember watching them, and I don't know, Nebraska's I remember watching them with the packed crowd, and even still from then now the crowd's been the same, and the people have been amazing, and all over social media I always see Nebraska volleyball, and they're repping women's sports well, so.
That's great. Well, I know when you were going through your recruiting process, you committed, you thought that John Cook was going to be your head coach. What was that like as a freshman coming in with he decides to retire and then Danny Busboom-Kelly takes over. What was that all like for you to take in and work through?
It was a lot at first because we were kind of getting our feet in the water a little bit, and we thought we were doing well, and then he just brought us in on a random, Wednesday or Tuesday, and he was like, I'm retiring, and we all it was hard at first, but the team helped a lot, and we all came together, and then he said that Danny was going to be the coach, and we got to meet her and stuff, and I was really hopeful because she seemed really cool, and she is really cool, so.
That's awesome. What's it been like just learning as a center, learning from Danny and what she's been able to, how she's been able to help you so far this spring?
It's been awesome. Her and Kelly together is like a perfect combo, and I've been learning a lot.
So let's go back to your start. You got into volleyball at a really young age, right? Why volleyball? How'd you get into it? Why'd you love it from the beginning?
At first, I followed my sister in every sport. She played basketball, I played basketball, and then she started volleyball, and I started volleyball, but mainly because my mom played in college, and so she was also a coach. So she kind of got us started, and then we went up from there.
Your mom playing volleyball, how was that? Just, again, not everybody has that luxury to have a parent that played at this level, but how has that helped you and shaped you into the athlete that you became?
It's helped a lot. I just remember her being my first coach, and even to this day, she shows me stuff and reminds me stuff, so I'm really blessed to have her in that aspect.
Was she a setter?
No, she was an outside.
So she probably knows, though, how to coach you up on how to get it to the hitters, right?
Yeah.
I read that you always wanted to be a setter. That's what you always wanted to be. Why? Why was that always the spot for you?
Well, I always thought that people were like, you're going to be tall, you're a lefty, we should make you a setter. But my mom always told me that I always just wanted to be a setter. I didn't want to hit, I didn't want to pass, and I wanted to just set. So I think just my mind always wanted me to be a setter. And I still hit a little bit when I was young and passed when I was young, but mainly I just was like, I want to be a setter.
What is it about that you love distributing and being a part of it in that role?
It feels like I'm in control, which is good. And I don't know, it's a good leadership spot, and you can kind of direct everything. And it came not easily, but it clicked, so.
I know a lot of people from, your current teammates, high school coaches, club coaches, a lot of times point out to just your knowledge of the game and how much you understand just the game itself. How did that develop for you? How have you become someone that just understands and knows, even despite playing it, physical part of it aside, but the mental part of it, how you understand it so well? Did that become such a positive for you?
It's helped a ton, especially trying to get my hitters one-on-one and knowing kind of where the defense is at and where I should put the ball. But it kind of just came naturally, just watching, especially film. I love watching film and other players. I like watching men's and women's volleyball. So I think also just watching and visualizing helped too.
That's cool. Was there a setter that you looked up to growing up that you kind of initially started maybe modeling a little bit your game after?
I loved Lauren Carlini, and because she hit too, so I wanted to be like her. And also, one of my all-time favorites is Jordan Poulter. I love her, and just the way she sets is so smooth, and it reminds me so much of like a man setting too. And I love watching men set. But yeah, those are probably my top two right now.
So you became one of the best players in the country, in fact, the best player in the country, the Gatorade National Player of the Year, two-time Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year. At what point did you realize, well, I'm kind of good at this. I could do this for a while?
I started in 9th grade. I was like, okay, I'm going to quit basketball. I'm going to focus on volleyball because I want to do that in college. But I don't know. I just always loved volleyball, and sometimes it's not really just more for the trophies. It's like, do I love it? And I still do, so yeah.
So it was the love then. Did you find, though, growing up that they helped each other, basketball and volleyball?
A little bit, but one year I played travel basketball and travel volleyball.
Oh, that's
tough. Yeah, and then after that I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have to pick because it was just way too much.
So then when you were named the Gatorade National Player of the Year, I know it was a surprise ceremony, right? Take me back to that day, how special that was, and how surprised you were.
I was so surprised, and it was so special. My school said that we were going to do like a newspaper thing for the school because I was already out of school, but everyone else was still in school taking their finals and stuff. And so they brought me back to school, and I remember going into the gym doors, and everyone just surprised me. And April Ross surprised me with the trophy, and I was so shocked. And all my family and friends were surrounding me, so I was really happy as well.
I was going to ask you, what was it like having April Ross present you the award?
It was insane. Even her saying my name was crazy because I always remember watching her in the Olympics too, and it was just so surreal.
What went into you becoming the Gatorade National Player of the Year? How did you get to that level?
A lot of work. Like every day, my setters coach, CJ Blaha, helped me a ton. Legacy helped me a ton. My high school helped me a ton. And, just hard work, leadership, and also my team in high school did really well, and my club was really high too, and I did a lot of community service as well, so I think that also helped.
So I read an article that your mom was talking about the award, and the committee had said that obviously you're a great athlete, but really what set you apart was your character, and I know you do a lot of community service and have picked that up here in Lincoln. Why is that important to you to be involved in the community and give back and volunteer?
I think it's so important to give back, especially having such a big platform at Nebraska, because all the young girls and boys just look up to the Nebraska volleyball players. And I just think how it's crazy how I go to a grocery store and there's people like pointing or staring, and they welcomed us so well here, so I just want to give it back to the community.
What about even going back to high school when you started getting involved in that? A lot of high schoolers don't have the time, don't want to put that kind of effort in. Why did that become something that you wanted to do even back then? Well, our volleyball team wanted to do this one called the PB&J Outreach, and at first I was like, I don't really want to do it. We had to wake up at like 5 a.m. on our only Saturday off, and we had to make PB&Js and then pass out food to the homeless in Detroit. And at first I was like, this is so stupid, and I don't want to wake up, like I want to sleep in. And then I did it, and we were done by like 8 a.m. And I was just filled with so much joy, and I was very proud of all of us because we gave back, and giving them PB&Js and giving them food and just seeing them smile and also just talking to them. And they're real people, they're normal people. They're just struggling a little bit, and I just think that it was such a good opportunity, and we kept doing the PB&J outreach because it just felt so good, and we also wanted to give back. Oh, that's cool. How much do you take? I mean, I know that you talk about wanting to give back, but how much do you take away from being able to do these kinds of events? I take away so much. I feel so grateful and proud of my parents and my family, and just grateful for the opportunities that I got, because I wouldn't be here without my family and also just everyone that surrounded me. So, yeah, I just feel very grateful and blessed to have all these opportunities that I get to have. So I saw a video that was done on you back in high school that was talking about you have a really cool middle name. Can you tell us that and the story behind that? Yeah, actually, my middle name's Journey, and my mom picked it, I think. And I don't know if there was a crazy story about it, but I love it. That's cool. I mean, because not how many people have that, so. Yeah, I love it because every single time someone's like, oh, what's your middle name? And I'm like, Journey. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Have you ever thought about going by that name? No, I know. My nickname's Soup because of Campbell Soup. Oh, yeah. So that's like one of my nicknames, and I love that nickname. Has that always been a nickname, or did you get it here? It's always been a nickname. Like, if you ask my club team, they always call me Soup, and my whole club, like all the coaches call me Soup, and my mom even calls me Soup sometimes, so yeah. So maybe your cheer for the fans in the student section can be something with Soup. Yeah, I think they're trying to. Our team is trying to do it, but I think that would be really cool. Again, Campbell Flynn, the freshman setter out of Michigan. That is a part of our Newcomer podcast series presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Just a portion of the conversation. We'll have that full episode out first thing tomorrow morning, so you can watch the full conversation with Campbell tomorrow morning. Whether you just arrived in Nebraska or you've called it home for years, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is here for you. We've been part of this community for 85 years, helping Cornhuskers, new and native, stay healthy and thrive on and off the field. All right, got to get to a break. On the other side of this, it is time for the joke of the week. David, it's his time to shine again, following up last week's performance. So we'll have that on the other side of this.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
Who are you?
I'm the truck fairy.
You mean the tooth fairy?
No, truck fairy. I appear when someone dreams about winning one of the 8 new trucks in the Nebraska Lottery's Trucks and Bucks scratch game.
Oh, so you leave Trucks and Bucks tickets under my pillow?
No.
Cash?
Sorry.
What exactly do you do?
Remind people to play today.
Don't think I need a truck fairy for that.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Play Trucks and Bucks from your Nebraska lottery. Top prize odds are 1 in 336,000.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and in the summer we have implemented the Joke of the Week, or brought it back. It was a huge hit over the last couple of summers. We brought it back. We have different interns going to be delivering the Joke of the Week. David did it last week. He was such a hit. We brought him back this week, but I said earlier that he was pretty nervous and it was stressful last week. How are you feeling about this week?
Last week it was the first time up there, and I was nervous, and I'm glad it went well. So I'm a lot more comfortable this time. I know Husker Nation's behind me on these jokes, so now the nerves are behind me. We're good.
All right, let's go. What do you got for us?
Okay, so this one. We got two characters in this one. So one day, Max went to go see his best friend, Carl, okay? And Carl, when he arrived, Carl had this huge swollen nose. And Max was super confused, so he asked him, "What happened to you, Carl? You okay?" And Carl said that he sniffed a brose. And Max was confused. He's like, "What? There's no B in rose." And Carl said, "There was in this one." Okay, I got nervous.
Okay,
Yes.
a little delayed.
Yes,
Sometimes that happens
yes.
with me. Okay.
It's the wordplay in there.
All right,
it's
I got it.
wordplay this time.
All right, so let us know what you think. I think your delivery was off the chart. We'll see if what people think, if they took longer to get it than me, or if they got it right away. Sometimes that happens with me. That's not an abnormal reaction. It took me a while when Cole used to do it. I'm like, I don't get it. But okay, 402-413-2400 is that number to text in. Of course, the guys on the chat always rank how it goes as well. So let us know what you think. Stephen Bellevue also chimes in quite often and has some suggestions. So if you ever get really desperate for some content, you could just go through his text thread, and he's got a few good ones in there too.
And I'll start reading up.
All right. So on that note, we'll get to a break. On the other side of this, we'll read your responses and how you rank David. So keep it here on Sports Nightly.
Find the perfect blend of elegance and innovation at Infinity of Omaha. Lease the 2025 Infinity QX80 for just $999 per month. Enjoy sophisticated design, groundbreaking technology, and a luxurious ride that redefines what's possible. Explore online at infinityofomaha.com or visit our showroom today. 36 months, 10,000 miles per year with approved credit. Tax, title, license extra. First payment plus $2,999 down. $299 doc fee due at signing. Security deposit waived. Bid number S9405605. Offer expires June 30th, 2025. See dealer for details.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to protect against wear and deposits. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and the MicroGuard Select Filter for just $33.99 in-store only. Limit supply. Learn more at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back. Our final segment here of Sports Nightly. David just delivered our joke of the week, so we are getting some of the responses in. Let's start with the text line. Dennis gives you a 5. But listen, Art in Los Angeles for years has been a huge fan of bee jokes. So he is all about it. He said, I love bee jokes, so giving it another A. He still doesn't follow the instructions from 1 to 10. So you get an A from Art in Los Angeles. Great job, David. He said, David is my hero because he loves the bee jokes. So there you go. Tim in Minnesota always chimes in, and he gives you a 9 because he doesn't want to swell your ego too much.
Okay, I respect that. Thank you.
So on the chat, we've got some responses too. Crypto said, well, first of all, Justin gives you a 6.8. And I think he's a harsh critic, so a 6.8 is pretty solid for him. Crypto gives you, he says, sorry, David, I'm going with a 9 for funny. You did do great for delivery, so I give it a 9.5. And of course, you always get a perfect 10 on the cool scale. Dryce gives you a 9. Husker in Hanover gives you an 8. And this is kind of funny. So kind of like my reaction, I had to have it explained. 4 hours, Lincoln Ethan on the chat said, okay, I'm sorry, my man, I'll give you a 5. I'm sure it's funny, but my brain is still trying to comprehend this one. Excellent delivery, though. So it kind of had the same response as me. And then Dryce explained it, said, Ethan, there's a B in the rows. And so then he readjusted his scale and said, okay, I was overthinking that one. I'll give it an 8. So Jim gives you good delivery, deserves a 9. I had to think for a couple seconds, though. So there you go. Pretty good responses there for you.
I'm glad everyone was supporting each other and figuring out the joke in the chat. I appreciate that.
It's kind of like me. I just had to think about it for a second, but then I got it. But you can never go wrong with bee jokes.
Exactly.
That's been a solid kind of year in and year out. When you go to bee jokes, it seems to be people seem to love the bee jokes. So Good stuff. Well, you're still not quitting on us, right? If we need you again, you'll step up to the plate?
Oh, of course, I will.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you. Okay, so Camden, I have a read here for you. Here's What's on Tap, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Husker sports are done for the summer. What am I supposed to tease here? Mr. Producer, Thunder?
Sure, we can talk about the Thunder.
Maybe looking to clinch an NBA title coming up tomorrow night, 7:30. I'm all for that. The College World Series continues, but I didn't know what I was supposed to say there.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about whatever. Is there a cartoon or something to tease?
Do you have any concerts coming up?
I don't have any concerts coming up.
You went to another one over the weekend?
I did.
The weekend?
It was the weekend, yeah.
The weekend over the weekend? How was that one compared to Journey?
I didn't go to Journey. I went to Coldplay.
Coldplay, sorry. I'm thinking Journey because we were just talking to Campbell and her middle name's Journey, and then they were talking about Journey songs.
That's
went to Coldplay. How did Coldplay and The Weeknd?
Yeah, Coldplay was very good. I like a lot of their music, and then there were a lot of lights and stuff for that one too. The Weeknd was good as well. I like more of their music than Coldplay. Lots of flashing lights for that one, but a completely different vibe. The average age at Coldplay was probably like 30-something. The Weeknd was probably like 17. So very different vibes at each, but both very good.
Okay, so no concerts, but that's What's on Tap, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. I just had a thought, and I thought, coming up tomorrow, I will say this. So we continue our Newcomer series. It took a while to get going, but now we're getting several of them in. So we've got lots of volleyball players that are going to be shuffling through here over the next couple weeks. But we're going to continue tomorrow night, going back to women's basketball. Another Husker newcomer out of the transfer portal, Eliza Maupin. She came from Kansas State, a team that went to the Sweet 16 last year. So we'll go dive back into getting to know the newcomers. And then Nick will be back with us tomorrow night. I'm probably going to have to dip out because we have an event that I've got to go MC. So Nick's going to handle it. But Camden, I had a question I was going to ask you, and I just blanked it. Man, I totally just spaced it. Oh, well, maybe it'll come back to me. Are you back tomorrow night?
I will. I'll be back tomorrow.
Maybe I'll remember it tomorrow and I can ask you tomorrow. But
sounds good.
Okay, so what do we have an update on? Can you give us an update on the College World Series?
Yeah, Arkansas leads 1-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning. But it looks like LSU's threatening, runners at first and second, no outs.
Okay, there you go. Got a question from Vicky in the chat about Virginia Adriano and AJ Ferrari. Did they make it to Lincoln? I don't know about Virginia, but AJ definitely is in town. He's moved in. And so, again, I mentioned that last week. I was in contact with him before he moved down here to try to get him on the show. And then it's just been so busy. He's trying to find a place to live. He promised me he'd make an appearance. So I'm going to follow back up with that coming back next week. Maybe he'll be able to step in. And also should mention, too, I said this last week, but start preparing yourselves because if you watch on our YouTube stream, it might look a little different coming up here after next week. So we'll be here in this studio next week, but then after that, we're going to have to take a break. We'll be off the air for a week, but then we're moving into a brand new studio. That's here in the stadium, but we'll have more details on where it is, what it looks like, what it's all about when we get closer to. But just so you know, we're winding down our time in this studio. So, but yeah, we're going to have some of those interviews that we'll be able to post on social media, and then we'll hear some of those. But hopefully AJ will be able to come on. I don't know about next week, and then once we're moving the studio, we might have some issues there. But he has promised that he will come on the show. I know he's in town and has moved in, and is just getting settled in, all the things that it takes to move in. Getting the Wi-Fi settled, all of that stuff. So we will hopefully hear from him soon. All right, that is going to do it for us here on this edition of Sports Nightly. Thanks to Nick and Camden and David. And we'll be back again tomorrow night right here on Sports Nightly for another full 2 hours of the show. Have a great night, Husker Nation.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Elevate your drive in your new vehicle from Woodhouse Lincoln. Lease the 2024 Lincoln Corsair for $499 a month for 48 months and 10,500 miles per year. Shop in store at 144th and Giles Road or online at woodhouselincoln.com.
with approved credit. Tax, title, license extra. Security deposit waived. $4,500 down payment plus first payment and $299 doc fee due at signing. VIN 5LM CJ2 DA2 RUL 16734. Offer expires June 30th, 2025. See dealer for details.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your